Coming right up, Chicago City Treasurer Stephanie Neely. Don't turn that station. I don't even know what the show's going to be about, but it's going to be really good because we could be dealing with the city employee pension issue, which is a mess. Sounds a little abstract, but you'll like it. Could be dealing with crime. Could be dealing with stop and frisk. That would be good. Okay. Could be dealing with school choice, school vouchers, closing of the schools. Could be dealing with that dry treasurer stuff. It's going to be so good. Don't turn that station because if you do, you're going to miss a really, 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 really good show. Well, okay. You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. And we're going to be doing lots of politics and public policy this evening. If you're listening to the news, if you watch the news, you hear these names like Lois Scott, Amar Ahmed, Midway privatization halted. And it's every day. You just open up, do we have it here? A manual aid tied to indicted official. See? Chicago Tribune, that's Thursday, okay? You just, like every day, it just keeps coming at you. Mayor grounds effort to take airport privacy. Okay, just in the last few days. We're taping this on, what day is today? Today is September 7th, so just in the last few days. I mean, I could just, city watchdog stays for now, okay? That's the Sun-Times and the Tribune. So basically, folks, and just in case, since you're watching the show with the city treasurer, we're not going to comment. I'll just say you should be reading this paper, Wall Street Journal. If you want to be well educated, these are 3 papers: Chicago Tribune, Chicago Sun-Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Don't you agree?
I couldn't agree more.
There you go. So, I just read the sexy stuff. Do you as city treasurer have anything to do with that?
Well, the way the city is organized, and let me begin by saying thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for coming.
This, of course, as everybody would know, is Stephanie Neely. Some people would say Stephanie D. Neely. I'm going to ask you, what does D stand for?
Denise. That's what my mother named me, Stephanie Denise Neely.
Would you prefer Steph or Denise or
I
treasurer?
prefer Stephanie.
Or your holiness, your highness?
Stephanie is fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for interrupting. Go
no
ahead.
problem. The way the city is organized, because most people don't understand it, is there are 3 citywide elected officials: the treasurer, the mayor, and the city clerk. And the way the city's finances are organized is the monies come into the city through the revenue department, and under the Emanuel administration, he changed that where the comptroller was in control of the revenue department as well. So the monies come in, I reconcile the monies coming in, the treasurer does. I invest it, keep it safe, keep it liquid, and then I send it out back to the comptroller to be spent for whatever city council has voted to spend it on. And so probably 2 or 3 times a month, I sit down with the budget department, the comptroller's department, the CFO's department, and we talk about how monies are going to be spent. And so I did work with the former comptroller, Amar Ahmad, and I did work with Lois Scott daily, if not, my staff works with them daily.
And you continue to work, I imagine, with Lois Scott.
Oh, sure. I've known Lois since 1990.
So would you vouch for her
87.
integrity?
I find her to be of the highest ethics. She's a kind person. She's extremely smart. She's a hard worker. She loves this city. And yes, I would think that she's trying to do the best job she can do, and she's done a really good job thus far.
Would you vouch for Amar Ahmed?
I have not known Amar as long. I've only known him since he's been at the city, but I was beyond shocked to find out that he has been indicted, because that is not the man that I have come to know and really respect and like. He's extremely smart. He was dedicated. He was trying to do difficult work, so I'm very surprised. Can I speak for him or vouch for anybody? No, I can't, but I found my workings with him. He was of high standing and very smart and really tried to do a good job.
So, and Lois Scott was the person who sort of brought him in to the city position?
That's what people are saying in the paper.
Yeah.
I'm sure that she is one of the people that recommended him. I don't know if she was the sole reason, but I'm sure she's one of the reasons.
You haven't called her up lately and said, what's the true skinny?
I have spoken with her.
You girls aren't you part of the, what is it, the Old Girls Network? The Young Girls Network? I don't know what we call it.
We are friends. I saw her yesterday at a meeting. We sit on pension boards together, so I see her, I text her. I want to make sure that she's weathering this very difficult onslaught of media attention, which
So you
is hard
support
to
her.
do.
You're supporting her in a sense of the morale, and you're
friendship.
not deserting her in friendship.
Sisterly love
You think
and
she's going
friendship.
to weather this thing?
I don't know what you mean by that. Do I think that she's going
Is it
to?
going to? Will some of it spill over? You know, but she's got some family connections that are coming out. Her husband, stuff that was going on in Ohio, et cetera, et cetera. You know about that stuff?
I don't know about the family connection. I know about
Her husband? Her
No, I don't know about
husband?
her husband's dealings, but I know about her dealings with her financial advisory firm. Yes.
Yeah, and so I mean, is it possible that she, I don't know, did this old thing where you rub my back, I'll rub yours?
Hold on a second. Let me pull out my crystal ball. I don't know what's
You don't know,
possible,
okay.
Jeff. I know that she was in the business of trying to add value to bond deals in Ohio. I know that she thought very highly of Amr and thought he would do a good job as city comptroller. And we, frankly, were lucky to have someone of Lois's caliber, education, and experience to serve the city.
Did Rom know what was going on, or the mayor? You know Rom.
Hold on a
right?
second. I get my crystal ball out again. Now you're asking
No,
about
but you
the
know,
mayor.
look, there are only 3 elected officials, as you said. City
Citywide.
clerk in the city, city clerk, and the city treasurer. City clerk is,
Susanna Mendoza.
you know, Susanna.
I
She's
do.
been on the show.
I do.
Okay, and we have you as the city treasurer, and there's Rom.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're elected separately. You're not sort of a part of a team, but yet, do you folks ever get together because you're the only 3 city elected officials?
Susanna and I sit on a pension board, the fire pension board, together, so we see each other at least twice a month at pension board meetings. I see the mayor occasionally out and about. I don't sit down with him specifically to talk about things that are going on. I sit down with his staff members. But we are 3 people who love the city of Chicago, and we want the city to be the best city that it can be.
How often do you see the mayor?
Several
Roughly?
times a month.
Several times. In what,
Sure.
formal or informal?
Informally.
setting? And what does that mean when you see him? What do you do?
We're at events together. What do you mean, what do we do?
Well, I mean, do you ever chat about?
Of course. Of course we chat.
Did you have any substantive conversations, say, about in the last 2 years? He came in. Okay, we'll go over this briefly. We're going to get the city employee pensions real soon, folks. Okay, Steph, don't worry. Do you mind if I call you Steph?
I prefer Stephanie, but if you want to call me
I'll
Steph,
call you
whatever
Stephanie,
makes you
okay.
comfortable.
All right, Stephanie. Okay, city treasurer, you prefer?
Stephanie's fine.
Okay. So, Rom ran on 3 major things, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1 was city finances, making them better. 2,
Yes.
public safety, murder, and so forth.
Sure.
Mayhem, rape, etc.
Sure.
Robbery. And then 3, schools, improving the quality of education.
Yes.
Do you think he's delivered on any of those 3 things?
Well, I am very concerned about crime. I am a single mom of a 14-year-old son, and the crime in the city has me very, very concerned. I mean, to the point where this will never be substantiated with data, but the only reason I think that crime is down somewhat this year, and most people who I talk to don't even feel it's down, is because we had really bad spring. So April, May, and June were cold and rainy.
The crooks and criminals just stay in.
They stay in. And
If we
so-
could freeze over Chicago, lower the average temperature to like 50 degrees, we would be almost crime-free, right?
Almost, but then no one would want to live here. I was just at an event with Phil Jackson from the Black Star Project, and he and I were talking about these signs that talk about safe passage. The entire city should be safe passage. It used to be a time where our communities cared about everything, and we were policing our own communities, and we've gotten away from that. And so I don't know if that is something a mayor or a city council can really control. A lot of it is, yes, there's policing issues, but some of it is just cultural issues that people need to start taking care of their own a little bit better too.
Well, it sounds like you're talking, and we'll get to this right now, it sounds like you're talking about the broken window theory of crime control. You know about that?
If a window is broken, then it means it's a high crime area and people don't care about their neighborhood. I think I've heard Superintendent McCarthy talk about that.
Right, and so Rudy Giuliani, I think, when
Talked
he
about
was
it
in
too.
charge in New York, he said, if that window gets broken, let's fix it right away.
Right.
If somebody starts urinating, let's stop that,
Yes.
urinating in the public area. Because then, as I understand it, the crooks see this and they say, somebody's watching.
And it was also the
And so if I commit a crime, even a small crime, somebody's watching, certainly a big crime. So fix those broken windows, make the city, and that's what you said, in the olden days, you as a neighborhood, whatever, could be the south side, west side, north side.
Exactly.
The neighborhoods were cohesive, they cared about each other. If something went wrong, you folks pitched in and righted it, right?
I felt that was the way. Now, people will say you're 50 years old, so you've got a bad memory about how things were. And yes, I know crime was bad then, But it just feels that it's everywhere now. It's not in certain little blocks, it's everywhere. Hadia Pendleton was killed a block from my house in the neighborhood of North Kenwood at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, these are crimes that are indiscriminate in terms of neighborhoods.
Did it like scare the hell out of you to learn that? I mean, or does that happen in your neighborhood in North Kenwood from time to time?
No.
Somebody's killed.
No, but
So
there are
this
shootings.
was like, okay, there are shootings,
Yes.
and this was extreme. Not only was it a shooting, she was killed.
And it was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon
2
in
o'clock
a
in the
park.
afternoon. Okay.
You know, this wasn't, 4 o'clock in the morning, people hanging out. This was kids playing in a park, and parks are supposed to be where kids can play.
So what would you do if you were king or queen?
We don't have that type
If you
of
were
system
king,
here.
queen.
We're a democracy
Okay,
here in
if you
America.
were, okay, just say, hypothetically, if you were like lieutenant governor, just to pick a position. See, I hear you're going to, let me just go right to that. I hear you may be running for lieutenant governor, so could you just tell us, you think you will be running for lieutenant governor in 2014?
There's definitely that rumor that's out there, isn't there?
And what's the answer?
There is, I'm honored.
You're
I
honored.
love this city, I love this state, but no decisions have been made, and I'm not in the position of answering for the governor. The governor gets to pick
Have you and the governor, are you talking about Governor Pat Quinn?
Governor Pat Quinn.
Have you and
Mr.
Quinn had
Daley.
a conversation
I've had
about this?
conversations with a
Both?
lot of people
With
about a
both
lot
Daley?
of different
Well,
things.
but have you spoken with the Daley team or the Quinn team about becoming a part of that ticket in either case, Quinn? Because the people might not know this, but the new law is that when these people run in the Democratic primary, as Pat Quinn is, as Bill Daley is, they have to, before, actually when they start circulating petitions, which is now, they have to, I think, have the lieutenant governor's name on it because they're running as a ticket.
That is correct.
And then when you vote, folks, if you vote for Pat Quinn, and say, hypothetically, Stephanie Neely is his lieutenant governor choice, you will be voting for Quinn Neely, right?
Hypothetically, that is correct.
Or, to be fair, you could be voting for Daley Neely.
Hypothetically, that's
And
exactly
notice I
how
didn't
it
say
works.
Daily Noodly like some people because I know the guest's name here.
I'm so
I even know
proud
how to
of you.
spell it.
I'm
Okay,
so proud
note
of
that.
you.
Okay.
I'm very proud of
That's
you.
spelled, just for some people who are watching out there, some of you news people, that's Neely.
Good Irish name.
Good Irish. She's Irish. She celebrates St. Pat's Day.
I do.
Probably
I
even
do.
go to St.
I
Pat's
do.
Church. No, you go in Lawndale.
I do go to Lawndale.
Oh, we got off the track. Okay.
But we're talking about crime and what.
No, because before we go on,
Okay.
seriously, are you interested in running for lieutenant governor, and would you be more apt to run with, say, Pat Quinn than Bill Daley, or are you undecided between the two?
So I'm a native of Chicago.
Yes.
And I view this city
Which means?
as, I love it. This is the city
You were born
that
here?
I was born here, I was
Raised
raised here. My parents migrated here.
You love the city?
I love the city
And you love
because
the
it
state?
offered, I do, I love the state. And so any opportunity to serve is an honor. Now, of course I would consider it, I would talk about it. And so I have had conversations with people about serving the city, serving the state, serving the county. I am open to serving, it's an honor. It shouldn't be taken lightly, but no decisions have been made.
Are you closer philosophically to either Bill Daley or Pat Quinn?
I don't know if I know what their philosophy, what Mr. Daley's philosophy is on a lot of things. I have a great deal of respect for him and his accomplishments and how he has served our great nation. And so, hearing what he has to say will be interesting for me as well.
Okay, but you are a Democrat.
I am a card-carrying Democrat.
We can rest assured if you do run for lieutenant governor, it will be on a Democratic Party
I
ticket.
believe that would be the case if I
did.
did run, yes.
All right, so we'll go to city employees second soon, but just to finish up on crime, seriously, what you've written on stop and frisk.
I have.
You're in favor of stop and
I
frisk,
am.
right?
I
And that's
am.
somewhat controversial in the black community because some African Americans think it's kind of an excuse for racial profiling.
So for me, the difference between stop and frisk and racial profiling occurs when you see a young African American male walking down Michigan Avenue where there's been zero crime in terms of murders. I think there's been one in the last 5 years on Michigan Avenue, and you stop him. That is racial profiling. But if you're going into these high crime areas,
So you just said there's zero crime on Michigan Avenue?
I said murders,
Murders, okay.
Right.
There's a lot of crime going on.
but no murders.
Like stealing,
I'm trying to get
stealing
guns.
iPhones and things
I'm
like
trying to get guns,
Off-
illegal
that's the
guns,
main thing,
off
your
of
main
the
concern.
streets.
Okay.
I am less concerned about someone's iPhone that can be replaced, insurance, more money.
that. Okay,
I'm
but by the broken,
alive,
by
but
the broken,
lies-
by the broken window theory of crime, if you sort of say, okay, I'm not too worried about iPhones being stolen, nobody's watching, and before you know it, you're going to have some, and you have had some wilding, which is now more serious. You know about wilding?
I do.
These
But
crash
Jeff, I've got to
things?
stop you. I am not concerned about that.
You're not concerned
Period.
about wilding?
Full stop. I am concerned about
Did you know
black
somebody was
children. Let me
raped,
finish.
raped in New York quite a while ago? When it was,
Let me finish.
Okay.
I am concerned about black children being killed on the streets of Chicago. Every Monday morning that I work out, there are anywhere between 5 and 30 shootings, anywhere between 2 and 12 people killed. I am concerned about that. And
where is this happening?
want South Side, West Side, there are high crime areas, my neighborhood. I want the illegal guns off of the street.
And
So
this
when
is
I
mostly,
wrote
excuse me, this is mostly black on black
black
crime.
on black, brown on brown crime, right?
Okay.
So for me, it's not racial profiling because me as an African American woman, we are killing each other, and it has to stop.
And you think stop and frisk works to get the guns off the street?
The data shows that it does work. The data shows that it works.
Okay.
Now, what happened in New York in terms of the judge coming down and saying that the implementation was unconstitutional? The judge never said that stop and frisk was unconstitutional, even though that's what the headline.
But she couldn't because there are Supreme Court rulings relatively
But I want to make
recently
sure on your
that say
show,
it's constitutional.
But I
so
want to
she
make
couldn't
sure
do that,
on
or she
your
would surely be
show,
overruled.
because you are educating people,
Yes.
and I don't want people to look at the headlines, and because people will say to me, "Stop and frisk is unconstitutional." No, it
It's
is
not.
not.
Right.
The implementation. In fact, in her ruling, she even said, "I don't want it to stop." Because the data shows that it works.
The judge did not want to stop and frisk.
Right.
She wants it to be implemented
in a different
perhaps,
way.
She's suggesting perhaps
More
it's
oversight.
she's saying perhaps it's implemented unfairly, it might be discriminatory, it might be implemented in a discriminatory way. In fact, she's requiring some police to wear a camera for a year. Okay.
Yes.
Are you
And
okay
I'm fine
with that?
Again,
Don't you think it kind of slows police down if they're camera people at the
I'm
same
not
time
a police
they're policemen?
officer,
Yeah.
and so you'd have to ask someone in crime.
Okay.
I want the guns, the illegal guns that are killing people who look like my child, off of the street. I wrote that op-ed because my son said to me after the Hadiyah Pendleton murder that he was afraid to go outside. And that broke my heart. In fact, even though—
How old is your son?
He's 14.
Okay.
Even though I signed the op-ed, mom first, they didn't put that, they put Stephanie D. Neely, Treasurer of the City of Chicago. I'm a mother first. And so if nothing else, my op-ed piece started the dialogue about how do we keep our children safe? And that's what I want to talk about.
What else would you do other than stop and frisk?
I mean, I think there's a lot of underlying issues that are going on in the black and brown communities that need to be addressed. You know, education, mental illness, drug addiction. There's a lot of things that are going on. And it's sort of gotten out of hand right now, and we're just killing each other. And the anger is frightening.
How does education come into play here in crime?
Well, I mean, kids are dropping out. They don't have any alternatives. Idle minds, idle hands.
Why are they dropping out?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's very complicated. I think role models, an education system that they believe has given up on them. I had a young man tell me at a public school that he knows someone who went to college and he's unemployed. And I said, you know, young man, there's a difference between not having a job and being unemployed. So just because you're not working doesn't make you unemployed. Right. And so just talking to kids, and I try to get to public schools several times a month to talk to our kids about violence, about the choices they can make with their money, about feeling scared in a city that I love, because they need role models, they need mentoring, they need to have some hard conversations, and they have to learn how to manage their anger.
Or is the CPS, the Chicago Public School System, is it failing?
You know, I think when I look at the Chicago Public School System, it reminds me of the Titanic, that it takes a lot of energy to turn it. And I think it is failing some. I don't think it's failing all. I mean, I think when you look at an average—
Is it failing the majority of students?
Well, if you look at the ACT average score of African American males, and it's something like, and I don't know, and please don't quote me, because it's so low it doesn't matter what it is, but I think it's 16. You know, when you sort of take out the Walter Paytons and the Northside Preps, and you're looking at a number of 16, that is not the kind of number we want for our children to have.
Right. So it is failing the majority, because the majority, as you know, 85% of the students in CPS, I believe, are minority, mainly Hispanic and Black.
That is correct.
Okay. And mainly low income, 85%.
I think it's 8 to 12% white.
And according, you know Robin Staines?
I do not.
She's the executive director of Advance Illinois. She knows education pretty well. She's been on this show. I'm paraphrasing what she said, but roughly what she said here under some intense questioning. Approximately 1 out of every 5 Black fourth graders in CPS currently reads at grade level. 4 out of 5 do not. They read at less than grade level.
Correct.
So would that be a way of saying, at least for those kids, and I think you could extrapolate to much of the remaining grades, we're failing 80% of the black kids, and they are they with Hispanics, and I think Hispanics are going to have a comparable number.
Yes.
So we're failing the great bulk of our students
Well, that's why
in
you said,
CPS.
you asked me if it was failing. I don't think it's failing all, but it
No,
is
but-
failing most.
well, if it's
I
failing
agree with you.
80%,
I'm with
that's
you.
pretty
I
bad.
am. I just didn't want to.
Why is nobody talking about that? Why is our superintendent? She agreed with me. You know, Barbara Bird Bennett. I asked her at a press conference months ago when they were dealing with the closing
Closing
of
schools.
She said, "Yeah, I'm not focusing on that." I threw out that number. Does that sound right? She said, "Yeah, that sounds right." Shouldn't she be going daily? Not to the old mayor daily. Well, what would you do? How about voucher school choice? Would you do that?
I am on the board of a charter school called Urban Prep Charter
Right.
School, which is an all-boys charter school here in the city. And to me, charter schools have a place. I know there's a controversy of charter school versus neighborhood schools. For me, all schools should be good, and there should be choices. So if you want
Competition.
well, I don't even view it as competition. I just view it as choices. Because some, as the mother of a young African American boy, some boys will do better in an all-male environment. They're just learning. So that should be.
Where do you choose? Do you choose to send your young son to a school, or does he go to a school? Somebody assigns him and says, "You must go there." Do you exercise choice?
I do exercise choice.
And you think that's a good thing?
I think choice and options are a good thing. I do.
Yeah, because.
But I think all
Have you ever
schools
read
should
this
be
book,
good.
Free to Choose?
I've
Milton
not.
Friedman?
I've not.
All right, Milton and Rose Friedman. You should take a look. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Do I have to give it back?
We'll work it out. We'll negotiate.
Okay.
Milton Friedman, Capitalism and Freedom. You
Yes.
ever read that?
I have not.
Okay.
Actually, I do think I've read that one.
Yes, you were an economics
I was
major
going to say, I
at Smith
actually do.
College.
And I also went to the University of Chicago, so yes.
Our first Smithy, okay? Yeah.
But not the last.
Not the last. Yeah. No, but seriously, this is about free to choose, capitalism, freedom. It's about competition. It's the ethos in America.
But I'm concerned about.
What is the problem with saying I like competition?
This is the only thing I'm concerned about in competition, that poor minority kids can't compete. And so, for example, if you have a parent that is semi-illiterate, and the application process to get into Chicago high schools, public high schools, is daunting. It is daunting. So now you're dealing with illiterate.
Wait a second. You said if it is daunting, or it is daunting?
No, it is daunting. I understand they're trying to change it, but it is a daunting process.
So we currently have a system that's daunting.
Correct.
We currently fail. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we got to get to the city employee pensions. We only have about 7 or 8 minutes left in the show. So, and I'll go on as quickly as you say. Yes, Jeff, I think school choice is a good idea.
I've already
whether
said
it's
that.
a charter school, whether it's a
No,
voucher
no,
school,
no.
you're okay with that?
I said that, but I also want to make sure in
Could you
that
sign?
conversation.
Could I get that as a blood oath?
No, I want to make sure I finish the sentence.
Okay.
In that conversation, it cannot fail poor
It won't.
inner city. I
The
don't
whole
know if that's
idea,
the
the
case.
whole idea, we're not trying to deal with New Trier. We can make New Trier a lot better with school vouchers. Trust me, my kids went. No slight
But what if
neutrality,
your-
but
but-
I don't care
But what
because
if your
you're
mother?
doing fine.
But what if your mother
I'm
doesn't
talking
even
about
know?
CPS.
But what if your mother doesn't know that
That's
a
currently the
voucher-
situation. Whatever it is, and we have 85% of those kids in CPS who are minority, who are basically African American, who are Hispanic and poor. What I'm saying applies to them. And if a lot of those kids have parents who are not as intelligent as you, number one, I think they're more capable of dealing with this, of caring about their kids, than the people who are doing it now. It's not a matter of intelligence, it's a matter of concern. You would be
Everyone's
surprised.
concerned.
I'm surprised you're saying this, because you would be surprised how capable people are. Even my mom didn't have initially a high school degree.
Neither did mine.
And she was damn capable of making sure I had my spelling list
Mine
done
too.
and ready in years.
Mine too.
So don't give me,
But
excuse
there's-
me,
but
but don't
there's
give me this
also-
stuff about, they're not capable.
I don't.
Okay?
I'm not saying they're not capable,
I don't mean to get so excited.
I'm not saying they don't care,
Okay.
because every parent cares about their child.
Of course.
And we all want our children to have a good
course.
education. The system is set up in a daunting way that it can be somewhat
So
overwhelming.
help them, help them.
I agree.
You got a $6 billion budget, excuse me, it's 5.7.
And $1 billion
We're
deficit.
spending $15,000 per kid per year at CPS. Don't tell me we need more money. If you can't teach those kids how to read and write, no matter what their preparation is for coming from their home, for $15,000, send them over to me. I'll do it in a heartbeat.
But Jeff, I didn't say it was a money issue.
I know you didn't, but some
don't-
people do.
So
I know,
don't twist
not
that.
you. No,
But
no,
parental
you're fine.
But
I'm talking about other
parental
people. Okay.
involvement is critical. You would have
Right.
to admit that.
Of course.
You just said that your mother, who was not
course.
an educated person,
course.
still could go over your homework. I'm saying parental involvement is
Empower
very
the
important.
parents, build it and they will come. Empower them and they will be empowered, and they will surprise everybody at how involved they get. If they don't have a say of where kids go to school, of course they're not going to care much, because they can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You say, okay, you have a choice. You can send your kid from one bad school to another.
Right, and that's how it is right now.
No. Let them go. You choose to send your kid to a private school, right?
I do.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing
there isn't.
hypocritical. Rahm sends his kids to a private school.
He does.
Nothing wrong with it. The media missed it. Nothing wrong with it. What is wrong is Rahm doesn't support school vouchers, school choice. Charter schools maybe, but not school vouchers. He opts out, and he doesn't let low-income people.
So how does it happen
Barack Obama and Michelle, they do the same thing. Their kids have never gone to a public school, and yet right here, sitting in that chair, initially, when Barack was in 2002, not running for the U.S. Senate, he was open to anything, even school vouchers. I'll show you the tape. 1 year later, he's running for the U.S. Senate, Democratic primary. Oh no, he said, as you know, Jeff, I don't support school vouchers. No, Barack, that's a new position. I don't denigrate that. He couldn't have won the Senate nomination. I understand that. But it's time somebody started holding these people accountable.
And I'd like to see the data. That's what I'd like to see. I want to make sure, and again, I am open for the discussion.
But you are, just so we get this clear on the record, you are a supporter of school vouchers, school choice, and charter schools, as well as traditional schools, and let parents choose and be empowered.
So I'm going to put myself on the record as opposed to you putting it on the record for me.
Is there something you disagree with that I just said?
I don't know enough of the data about vouchers, because we don't do that in Chicago. And so I'd like to see the data from another school district that shows that poor minority kids, poor kids in general, are not being left out in the voucher system. That's the only caveat I would open.
They're not being out. Go up to Milwaukee. Just go up to Milwaukee. Are you familiar with Milwaukee?
I've been there. It's a suburb
Are they
of
being
Chicago.
left? They're not being left out. A bunch of black kids get
Sir, I don't know
school choice.
enough. I'm believing you, but I don't know that enough.
Trust me, have I ever lied to you before,
Not
Steph?
today.
Okay. Let's go on. City employee pensions.
Sure.
So they're underfunded by altogether $20 to $25 billion?
If you exclude teachers, it's $20 billion. If you include teachers, it's $28 to $30 billion.
It's 28. And we were just saying before the show, you got 3 million people in Chicago, 13 million in Illinois, $100 billion at least underfunding in Illinois. You folks are 20 to 30 billion. If the state is in a mess, the city is in a mess.
Absolutely.
You're in an equal mess.
And the state legislature
and what has to be done to solve it?
The state legislature has to either decide to fix it on a contribution side and or on the benefit side. It's
so the legislators have to do it. You
Correct.
Can't do it as a city council, can't do it, Ron can't do it. And they have to do what? What are those three-legged stools?
So it's an investment leg, which we cannot invest our way out of this problem.
Right.
It's a benefits leg, which the Illinois state constitution guarantees benefits, but we can talk about that in a minute. And it's a contribution. And as we sit here today, the employees of the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago
need to contribute more.
No, let me finish. Stop putting words in my mouth, sir.
We only got 3 minutes left.
Is they contribute at the highest level in the nation.
Okay.
And so,
so they contribute at the highest level?
In the nation.
So that's not a solution to ask them to contribute more?
But the state and the city don't contribute enough.
Well,
so then the question becomes, does the
tell
state
it to
and
the
the city...
taxpayers who are watching the show.
Exactly.
You want to kick in some more money?
No.
Hey, you're going to run for lieutenant governor on that program?
I didn't say that.
I think you just hurt yourself.
I didn't
think
say
you
that.
just,
I didn't say that.
Well, what are you going to do to solve it? I haven't heard a solution then. If you're not going to raise taxes, to raise benefits,
there can be a revenue stream. There can be a revenue stream. When we hear about this whole casino idea,
casinos?
No one's talking about pensions. So maybe the pension conversation needs to go into the casino contribution. We can talk about freezing
These pensions are outrageous. These pensions are outrageous. These COLAs are outrageous.
Oh, the COLAs are outrageous.
And the state level, they were getting 3% a year. Is that what the city people get?
Exactly.
1.5% inflation, you get 3%. And it's compounded, folks.
How about
it's
zero?
Compounded.
How about zero cost of a living and you get 3%? How about back in 2007 when the CPI
So would
was
you
zero?
freeze the COLA?
I would freeze the COLA.
There you go. Do it on the state level, do it on the city level.
I would do it on all levels.
How about just going toward defined contributions instead of defined benefits?
I don't believe in that.
85% of the private sector does
I understand that.
Could 85% of the private sector be wrong?
I think there are issues associated when you go to these conferences. That's not the answer. It seems like an answer. It's not the answer. It's not the answer.
You don't want to. We've empowered people to take care and manage their wealth. Are you against it? We're going to continue to speak as the credits roll. But I so much want to thank Stephanie Neely, City of Chicago Treasurer. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Jeff.
You'll have to come back in like
Anytime.
2 weeks, right? Okay? This we didn't cover enough.
I know.
Could you come back in 2 weeks? Is that a commitment?